LOTC. Welcome to LOTC Presents Black Glove Mysteries, where every other Friday we will take you on a journey through Italian cinema, specifically giallo, but we reserve the right to take other avenues such as poliziesque, spaghetti westerns, Eurocrime films. Either way, you will hear and now see us talk Italian cinema. This is episode 442, double 69 if you're keeping count. I'm your host, GregaMortis, along with Ian Irza. What's up, Ian?
A captain should not be afraid. And I confess now to whoever may hear this that today now I am experiencing fear. I must not let my crew know this. I must keep them busy. I must not let them know that the situation appears more hopeless with each passing day.
And that would be from Planet of the
Planet of the
Vampires.
Vampires.
What a dialogue heavy movie. But we'll get into that. But the movies that we're talking about, welcome, by the way, to the channel, listeners. And if you're watching this, hello. Movies reviewing tonight are going to be The Planet of the Vampires from Mario Bava, as well as A Bay of Blood.
Well, I kind of like the way the bay that Bay of Blood looks. This is
Yeah,
the one I got. Yeah.
yeah. The cover, super cool. I'm not digging all the extra on but I ain't going down that Scream Factory.
AKA Twitch of the Death Nerve, which some people know it as, and a thousand other titles. Was like Last House on the Left Part Two, I think is one of them.
I can see
Um,
that definitely.
yeah, there's a ton of them. Let me see if I can find any of them here. Carnage. Carnage is another famous one because that's what it was advertised as on like US double bills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bloodbath, Last House on the Left Part Two, just Last House Part Two. But there's like 20 alternate titles, or maybe even more if you go to Letterbox, because there's a ton in other languages that I'm not gonna bother pronouncing.
Yeah.
But
I love it. Well, that's what we're going to be reviewing tonight, and I hope you'll stick with us and enjoy the show. We're super excited. Once again, I'm GregaMortis, and this is Ian Irza. Got my Giallo section over here now. Hope you guys are digging this, the old J&B bottle that you got to have it. And the cool license plate for Ian and I. That's our Black Glove Mystery.
yeah,
There, and I'm liking that. But anyways, we're super excited. We're going to be talking some Mario Bava tonight, and all kinds of shenanigans will take place. So we're super excited. What we normally like to do is do these in chronological order, and that's what we'll do tonight as well. It just makes it a little easier to keep up with. And the first one up is going to be The Planet of the Vampires here. Love this cool slip cover case. This is the Kino Studio Classics, the Kino Labor. And you can get these still. These are not out of print. But this
oddly enough, mine didn't come with a slipcover. I don't know when you got yours, but mine just came regular.
I actually had it gifted to me about a year ago, and
Oh,
I
okay.
finally got to watch it, man. So super excited that I had it. But I love the slip and Kino, man. I've started getting a lot. I've got a bunch of Kinos lately of the Studio Classics series.
Yeah. I
Kino.
mean, they're one of my favorite companies because they have a very broad spectrum of the things they put out. They put out westerns, whether it's American or spaghetti westerns, doesn't matter. They put out noir films. They do some sci-fi films, and they do some contemporary stuff. Like every once in a while, there'll be something like, "Oh, Kino's putting that out. That's interesting."
Right. Yeah.
And one of my favorite releases from them is the Brian Bosworth movie Stone Cold. They did a great release of that.
Big Brian in the flat top, man.
Hey, he was a good action hero. He's a
Yeah.
convincing action hero on screen. I will say, not that I want to get off on a tangent on
Mhm.
Brian Bosworth being a convincing action hero, but if you watch him in those movies, you can tell he's doing his own stunts and he looks like he can actually fight.
Yeah, definitely. So Kino, if you have never shopped around and you're looking at boutique label companies, I would definitely land over there in Kino and look around in some of their catalog. And they'll have sales periodically. Barnes and Nobles has sales of Kino. I mean, they run quite a few sales through the year, so I would recommend definitely jumping on them.
Yeah,
As well
Kino
as
just will do one every once in a while on their own site, and I think after maybe $50 or something, it's free shipping or something like that.
yeah, their
Oh,
shipping's a little pricey, but if you can get into that free shipping, then you're okay.
yeah,
Able to rock and roll. So I would definitely recommend them. Of course, Severn, Era Video, those are three of the biggies that I go to. And Cauldron, we were talking about that off air, Ian.
yeah.
Whenever Cauldron comes out with a release, we're quick to jump on it. And I finally picked up the Sweet House of Horrors, which is a Lucio Fulci, and this was a TV series that he released, and it was too graphic for Italian cinema. I mean Italian TV. But they released it. This is in that what was it called? The box set
Houses of Doom.
Houses of Doom.
Yeah.
Now, Ian's got the cool box set. I don't have
I have not watched Sweet House of Horrors yet. I did watch House of Clocks, which I liked. I wouldn't say that I loved it, but I liked it.
cool.
Um, hopefully, Sweet House of Horrors is something among the same for late period Fulci. Is a movie that I just will say that I'll like it. Maybe not love it, which is better than some of his other late period stuff. I can say, although I've never really seen a Fulci film that I truly hated. Manhattan Baby being my least favorite film of his, probably by far. I don't really care for that film very much,
Yeah.
but then again, you swing to the other side of the spectrum where Fulci's done obviously some amazing films, including my favorite film of all time. So
Yep.
yeah,
Go beyond. We will do one day. We'll get into our Fulci retrospect, and we'll go through the Fulci lineup, and we'll get down into that rabbit hole. We'll also get into Argento later on in the future, for sure. There's so many directors and so many great films and giallo films and just everything. So just stick with us. As long as we're breathing, we'll keep doing this and we'll keep rolling with it. But tonight we're going to go ahead and get started once again with the Planet of the Vampires. Once again from Kino Labor or wherever you might have your release. It is available via Plex. It was also available via Pluto. So you could watch them for free over there as well if you want to watch the commercials.
I
But let's
never looked it up on YouTube. Or no, it is on YouTube. There is a YouTube version of it. Yep,
There is a YouTube version, and these look fine. They're
yep.
definitely like a Kino rip. So, you can definitely watch it for free, see what you think about it. But we're gonna get into this one. So, as I always like to do, it's 1965, and we'll head over to Ian. What you got for a plot synopsis?
I'm just taking it from the back of the Blu-ray, and I read it already, and I thought it was actually a pretty good synopsis.
Cool.
A close encounter of the undead kind! Exclamation point! In this otherworldly tour de force of sci-fi thrills and gothic chills, space travelers intercept a mysterious distress call from a distant world. Doesn't that sound familiar from a 1979 film?
Yes.
Isn't it is it a desperate cry for help or something more far more sinister? After landing on the shadowy planet, the crew members clash with a horde of disembodied, soul-snatching aliens with a diabolical plan beyond their worst nightmares. A dazzling mixture of nerve-shredding suspense, eye-popping science fiction, and full-blooded horror from the maestro of the macabre, Mario Bava. Planet of the Vampires inspired decades of space-age shockers and now proudly stands as one of the most electrifying, visually stunning cult classics from Italian cinema's golden age, starring Barry Sullivan.
Barry Sullivan. There you go. AKA, once again, Terror in Space or the Demon Planet. This one screams the 50s atomic age creature films, man. This just screams it. It just. I do over on Jay of the Dead's new horror movie podcast. I do a section, a little segment called Monsters on My Mantle, and I go through all the 50s atomic age movies and pick out movies that I like the Giant Claw, movies like that. Well, this one screams the space age, man. It's so, so iconic. It's like 10 years past its prime, though, right? Like this would have been in the 50s, Phil, but we're hitting 1965. The 50s atomic age is already kind of fading. But Mario come in, and I thought visually this movie is actually stunning, man. He
It
does a
is.
lot of um, great camera work, but it's also the coloring. It's a very colorful magentas and blues and greens. It's a really colorful film, but he also does a lot of cool things where he's doing these transposing. I thought was done really well, where you're not really there, but he puts you there, and you can see it when it's happening. And a lot of miniatures and different things like that. That Ian, you and I both love miniatures on set, and we get that on here as well. But I thought he done really well with it, man. I thought they really, really knocked it out of the park with doing those things.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just visually, this film is amazing, and all the filmmaking tricks uh, that he employs. I mean, I have some notes here from the Tim Lucas commentary. It was shot for only $200,000, which, probably a lot of that was spent on the cost of film back then. That's
Maybe
just
the
a guess.
costumes too, man.
Yeah,
Wait, I'll get into the
yeah,
costumes.
where they look like X-Men,
Yeah,
basically. um, the spaceship was like 20 inches in diameter. They used like little colored LED lights for the stars. Um, Lucas had a note here where he said opticals can deteriorate surrounding image quality, so Bava didn't always like doing them. He would do them if he had to, but not necessarily all the time. Barry Sullivan was one of the only leading men in Bava's films that was actually older than Mario Bava was. Barry Sullivan was 53 at the time of filming. Mario Bava was 51.
Mm-hmm.
He called Mario Bava cuddly but inscrutable, I think is what he said about him. He said he was later proud of the film. He said, "I can't believe how amazing it looked, with just a budget that it had," I think is what he said later on.
Mm-hmm.
The landing of the ship, the first time we see it, was done inside an aquarium where someone is holding the ship down and there's like sand on the ground. He said there's one shot where actually you can kind of see someone holding the ship a little bit if you look, like you can see someone's finger or something.
Wow.
Mario Bava made the first Italian sci-fi film called The Day the Sky Exploded in 1958. Tim Lucas notes a dreamlike slowness about the whole thing. Basically, he said the alien atmosphere was done with studio rocks, colored gels, and mirrored shots, and that was definitely what it was done, throughout the film. I'm trying to find one note that I had. So for a lot of the shots where there's like a forced perspective where you see the characters and something giant in the background,
Yeah.
basically it's done with a mirror with see-through glass with a model in the background. That's how a lot of those shots were done. And Lucas notes that was popularized by the film Metropolis, but actually Mario Bava's dad had done it previously in some Italian epic like 10 years prior. So that would have been probably like 1915 or something like that.
Wow.
So great filmmaking history, generations of filmmakers in this family, I guess, between
Sure.
Bava and Lamberto Bava, and I think Eugenio Bava was the father's name.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. I loved those scenes. There's one particular scene that they're basically um, they're, it's hard to explain. There was this. There were like in two different levels, right? You had down here, you
Yeah,
had a group of them, and then up here you had a group of them. There's like a stairwell and something, and they're like doing two different things, talking to each other, and then it was really neat. It kind of reminded me of the Labyrinth, honestly, the movie Labyrinth with David Bowie. Just kind of the setup of it, but it was kind of cool the way they did that. You could totally tell.
that's the part with the two green things, right? With the two
Yes,
greens. Yeah, yeah.
yes,
I remember what the yeah.
yep,
Yeah. I mean, Tim Lucas does a little bit better of explaining it than I could because I couldn't keep up with everything he said, truth be told, from my notes. I would have had to listen to his commentary like 3 times in order to keep up with everything he said. Tim Lucas is very all encompassing in his commentaries, and that's why he's my favorite person for commentaries. And that's no offense to anybody else. I just think Tim Lucas is the absolute best for commentaries. And now I wanted to shift to something else though.
cool.
This film's pacing is really sluggish. It is
It
not.
is.
It
Yeah.
is very, very slow, and
Uh-huh.
it takes a while for this film to get going, and it doesn't really get going all that much. Truth be told, I think that's one of my problems with it. As much as I liked it visually, substance wise, there's not a whole lot here because none of the characters to me were all that interesting. Besides Mark, I thought he was kind of interesting as
Yeah.
the captain of the ship. He talks about how afraid he is at one point. He's the only guy who can resist the alien spirits when they get to the planet for some
That's right.
reason. Like he's the only one who's able to do it between both ships, actually, because we find out what happened to the other ship and it didn't go particularly well for them because they seemingly had no one who was able to resist
Mhm.
the alien spirits from taking these people over and making them fight amongst themselves. And I think he's the closest thing we have to an interesting character, but a lot of the dialogue is a lot of space talk for the
Mhm.
most part. Um, Please feel free to take a drink every time they mention a meteor rejector. That was really funny to me. The meteor rejector is like this big plot device in the
Yeah.
movie.
Looked like big
Um,
binoculars with lights on it, and
yeah,
it's weird.
so visually I think this film is impressive, and there's never a dull moment when it comes to
Right.
something to look at. It's just content wise, there's not a whole lot here, and I think this film might be more famous for what it actually went on to influence than as the film itself. I mean, the whole thing of people going to find a distress beacon and then having it be something else is went on to inspire probably countless number of sci-fi films, including Alien
Sure.
and Event Horizon among them the most. And there's even more stuff from Alien in this. I mean, the whole space jockey thing.
Yeah.
At one point, what's Norman Bengali's character? Is it Sonia, something like that?
Yeah.
Um,
Sonya. Sonya.
Yeah, her and Mark go into this derelict ship, very much like Alien, and they find this big giant skull similar to Space Jockey. Dan O'Bannon was quoted as saying once, "I never saw the film, I never heard of it," but then years later he said, "No, I actually took that from Planet of the Vampires."
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and I actually think John Carpenter even might have borrowed some stuff from this, like just the way John Carpenter's films end. Not that I want to spoil the ending to this
Yeah.
film, but if you watch The Thing or if you watch Halloween 3, which I know John Carpenter didn't direct Halloween 3, but he wrote it, the way those films end ambiguously, in a sinister way, in a negative way, it kind of reminds me how this ends a lot. And I think this might have been one of the first sci-fi films to do that, because even the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I don't think ended negatively. It was the 1978 version of the Body Snatchers that ended
Yes.
the way it did, but I don't think the 56 one ended in a bad way. This I think might have been one of the first sci-fi films to be like, oh wow, the aliens kind of, they kind of win here,
Right.
which I find interesting.
Yeah, that was definitely and when you talked about John Carpenter, I totally agree because he was such a fan of the 50s and 60s monster movies and especially when you get into like Howard Hawks, with the thing and from
Yeah,
Another
and this
World. Oh,
film
go ahead.
wasn't. I don't think this film was buried by any means.
No.
I think it got an American release. I mean, it's an AIP movie, so I think it actually did get a pretty big American, maybe not a big one, but at least it wasn't an unknown film compared to some others that we talked about. Like when we talk about how, oh, like Stanley Kubrick might have been influenced by All the Colors of the Dark when he made Eyes Wide Shut. I'm like, yeah, that's a long shot. I highly
Right.
doubt that he was influenced by that. But this one, I think, is a bit of a different story. I mean, Joe Dante likes this film. So I do think this film has more of an influence and was more widely seen than some of the other Italian films we talk about.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say too. I totally agree because I feel like the influence is probably more than the output of it. And here's the thing: when watching this movie, I totally agree with you with the substance. I was screaming in my brain. I bet you MSTK did this. I feel like MSTK got a hold of this Mystery Science Theater and probably ran with it. I don't know. I've never watched many of their episodes. I just know kind of what movies they deal with. And I feel like they'd have probably grabbed this one and would have had fun because of the dialogue. So heavy dialogue. And it's all, like you said, space talk. So it's all this talking. And Mark, bless his soul, some dry talking. I mean, a lot of the acting in this movie is really dry and it's kind of like just really heavy dialogue. So you're watching a movie, and like you said, it's at such a sluggish pace. It's like, Lord have mercy, like what is going to happen here? But the ending saved it for me. I really enjoyed the ending. I thought the ending, especially the last 10, 15 minutes of this movie, was actually really entertaining. Not saying the inside of the movie wasn't. I mean, I was still okay with it. I wasn't like checking out of it or anything. I'm just saying
No,
it's just
but
heavy
it
dialogue.
was, yeah, it's heavy dialogue, and it just takes a while for really much to happen. I mean, once they finally get into that ship and they get trapped, I'm like, okay, finally something is happening.
Right, right.
I mean, even when the undead people rise from the ground, which is an amazing sequence,
Sure.
nothing really comes of it for a while. So it just takes a while for things to happen, and then yeah, at the end, there's it all goes crazy with the fights on board the ship, and then you get the shootouts, the really weird, cool ray gun things, that kind of almost look like cigarette. They shoot like cigarette lighters or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, and then you get, yeah, what is kind of a twist at the end. I mean, I guess the second time I watched the commentary on, I'm like, oh, this is actually a little more obvious than I thought. But it's still there. Like the idea of the film is kind of a creepy thing, because
Yeah.
you don't like, there's something very supernatural about just this planet itself to be able to do this to people, right? And you believe it because it's science fiction and anything kind of goes. There doesn't necessarily need to be too much of an explanation for it,
Yeah.
at least to me.
No, definitely not. And I thought that the way they handled the ending of it, I thought was pretty darn good though. It was definitely entertaining. So overall, the characters themselves, I thought like Mark, being the captain, he's the leader, and then you got the Sonya and you got Tiona. Those are your two ladies, Norma Bingle, and then you had Evie Mirandi. They just kind of got lost in the shuffle for me. They just kind of if we're looking for a lady, maybe a leading lady, they just never really hit that aspect for me. But
Fiona was supposed to have a much bigger role too in the original script.
now we did have Ivan Razumov.
Yeah, very young. I like in my age, Ivan Rasimov. Yeah,
Yeah, loved
uh,
seeing him on screen. That was cool.
yeah,
Stello Candeli, who played Mud, Brad, aka. So a few characters in here, but I was really like waiting for this movie when it first started. I'm like, okay, where's this movie going to go? And the first thing that caught my eye was you mentioned the X-Men suit. I was thinking it's like X-Men slash Tron slash whatever, but I want it. I want one of those suits, man. It's black and yellow. They got like these flaps that come up to their face, and then they put these little helmets on like Tron. And then, dude, I was like, man, I would totally rock that for Halloween, bro. That was so cool, man. Leather, it was just really, really cool. I thought they really crushed that. But other than that, man, the movie just really drags. It's visually stunning. There's these little scenes where they have these little orbs, these little light orbs going on. Uh, I felt like it was like Christmas lights. I said they must have put some kind of Christmas lights and just blew them up and just pew. That's what
yeah,
it felt like. But it's weird stuff. But you can definitely see Mario Bava going into this thing, going, okay, I'm gonna make me a space movie, and he puts his flair in it. And I got to give him props for it, man. It was definitely, uh, yeah. It's kind of like there was mention of the Angry Red Planet. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie from
no,
the Angry Red Planet from 1959. It puts you in the same vibe, and it's one of those movies where a lot of the movie is red tinted. It's a really good movie, man. Really fun, cheesy monster movies from the 50s or space movie. This one kind of puts you in that flair. So I just thought Mario was like, okay, I'm gonna throw my hand out here. I'm gonna go with it, and hey, he did it, and everybody looked cool in their suits.
yeah. So I had a little bit more information on
Sure.
Norma Begelli, who plays Sonia.
Okay.
She was a well-known Brazilian actress, and she kind of, before the film, she kind of dictated certain things about her character and whatever, and how she would look and what she would wear, and that annoyed Barry Sullivan. He was not particularly pleased by it, and so he started calling her Norma Bangwell because of that. He was just kind of annoyed by her.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. This was the first time Lamberto Bava was an assistant director for his father. He was 21 years old at the time.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. That's so cool. Hey, what'd you think of the music in this one?
I liked it. I thought it
You
was
did?
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I loved how it came into those scenes where it felt bigger than the movie was like sometimes, and it needed these little ambient sounds because it make you got to sound spacey, right? You're out on space, so when they're outside and there's this scene where they got to go across this lava rock thing. They've got these cool little noises going on, sounds going on. You got fog machine rolling. I thought they done really well. Kind of creepy moments in there that I thought they done really well with. And I was looking up. That's Gino Maranuzzi Jr. did the musical score, and it was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. It felt grand. It felt kind of, what you would expect a space movie to sound like. You know what I mean? Like when you're doing those scenes out there and you're supposed to sound like you're out in a open air space like that. I thought it was pretty cool. Although that annoying, what'd you call it again? The binocular thing, the take a shot every time you hear it, whatever the heck it's
meteor ejector.
the
Yeah,
meteor rejector. Every time that thing would go off, it was like, Lord, please cut that thing off. Or when they had the machine, the little thing that was shocking them when they got trapped in the room, and he grabbed it. He said, "Oh!" And then he had to pick that thing up because they were trying to open the door. Good man, God, some of them noises were just annoying. It's like chalkboard. But cinematography, Antonio Rinaldi, our buddy Antonio Rinaldi. Uh, we know Rinaldi pretty well. Good stuff in here, man. It's not a great film, but I'm glad I watched it. I'll be honest. I'm glad
yeah.
the
So
whole.
am I. And this film's really polarizing, especially among some of our. I actually looked up some of our contemporaries to see what they thought of it. Moods gave this a 10.
Nice.
Yeah, so but like Christian Luciani, I listened to the Exploding Head show. They did an episode on this.
Mhm.
Christian gave it an 8, and Dave gave it a 5.5. So
Okay.
we are a little all over the map in terms of what some people we know think of the movie, and they kind of all had their reasons for it. I think although Moods, I don't really know. I don't know if they ever covered it on the show. Moods had his usual 2 word review that he does for everything. But yeah, so I thought it was interesting because I kind of feel the same way where I'm like whenever we do get to ratings, I kind of like want to give this film a higher rating,
Yeah,
but because of the pacing and because just not too much happens, I feel obligated to be a little lower on it.
same,
But yeah,
same. Yeah, this movie screams to be a 10 because I love space movies. I love the atomic age period. So to me, it screams a 10. I mean, it's like, dude, I'm with Moods on that aspect. I'm like, dude, this screams 10. The just for the nostalgic part of it, for what it influenced afterwards, and all these different things. I mean, it screams a 10, but I can't put a 10. I just
no,
can't do it.
yeah,
And but as much as I'd love to, and then if I could give it a 10 because of this artwork that freaking whoever did this artwork for Kino. I mean, look at that freaking artwork, bro. That is freaking awesome. Even looks like a face right here. Dude, man, Chef Kiss Scott, it would get a 10 for that, but you can't do that. So
yeah, it kind of looks like an early Pink Floyd album or
oh
something,
god,
actually.
yes.
Yeah,
Dark Side of the Moon or something. Oh my.
yeah,
But no, lots of cool stuff. This one is, of course, dubbed in English, or at least in English, so I appreciated that. The dialogue, so super spacey. Sometimes it's over my head. I'm like, whatever. I'm just rolling with it. There's a couple scenes when Mark is talking to Wes, and there's these scenes like Wes is trying to find because the other crew has disappeared, right? So he's trying to find one of the guys, and he sits down. He puts his hand just mysteriously on his chair, and he looks, oh, he says something, I got blood on my hand, like, here's something really happened. And then next scene, Mark's like leaning on the table talking. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, what? Did we have like a 15-minute space that Mario's like, okay, I got a fluffer, I got to put 15 extra minutes in it? I don't know, but it just some odd scenes that were just in there that really didn't carry any weight. But when you talked about the burial and the uprising of these uh, vampires or whatever you want to call them. Those were really cool. They were really cool. They were
yeah. That was a really good sequence. That is like straight out of almost like a nightmare or something. I enjoyed that part a lot, and then you got the reverse footage with the smoke and everything.
which is
Yeah,
awesome.
I thought that was one of the best parts of the movie.
I got to ask you though, they buried them, and then there's like this metal. However they bury it, it's under like a metal, like it.
Yeah,
Where did they get that from?
I don't know.
Like,
Yeah,
where
that's
did
a
they
good
get
question.
these to bury them? And then I guess there's like a pole that sticks up. Is that supposed to be like the headstone? I don't know, but I'm like, where did they get all this? I don't. You're out in space. I mean, did you think that you were going to die there and you were going to have all these just mysteriously tall sheets of metal to put on? I don't know. It's just odd. I don't know. I can't explain that one, but whatever. It's just nitpicking. I'm just sitting there like, dude, I don't know where they got it. It looked cool. It looks really cool, but yeah, I don't know where they got that from. Shit, no, whatever. What else you got on this one right here?
Not too much that I can think of. I think I went over all the trivia that I could and just some of the notes from the commentary I could, and I
Mhm.
talked about it as much as I wanted to because, like I said, there just isn't a whole lot here for me. But I did, like I said, just visually, I thought it was a feast for the eyes. That is easily the film's strongest aspect, and really the best aspect you can take away from it is just that visual aspect. And there's something new every scene, whether it's the way the ship looks, whether it's the outside planet, the other ship they go on to, the derelict spaceship that apparently was made out of paper mache. Uh, so that which I thought it looked pretty good for being made out of paper mache,
Heck
truth be
yeah,
told.
yeah.
And just all the filmmaking aspects, the mirror aspects, the optical effects, like all that stuff I found really interesting to listen to Tim Lucas's commentary when he talked about that, because I it made me feel more appreciative for it because I learned exactly what they were doing in certain scenes to make the film look the way it did.
Yeah, I was curious because watching it the second time, I've only watched it the one time. Well, technically, I kind of watched it twice because first time I ended up falling asleep and I had to wake up. And today I had to go do some things and I ended up watching it again, to refresh and make sure I've seen everything. So I did technically kind of watch it twice. But did you feel like the second viewing made it better, or did it kind of just
It
same?
did make it slightly better because I picked up on more of the dialogue that, truth be told, just went way over my head the first time I watched it because it
Yeah.
just wasn't that memorable. That part when he's doing the captain's log, which is what I quoted in my monologue at the beginning, in the opener, I thought that was a pretty interesting part where he admits to being afraid. And again, this predates Star Trek, which is pretty amazing when you think about that. Star Trek was on a year after this, and I don't know, I don't know if they took any influence from this. I mean, I'm going to say no. I think Gene Roddenberry or whatever probably had his own ideas in mind for that show.
Right.
But the captain's log thing, that predates it, and I think this film, Star Trek had its influences. This film certainly had its influence, influenced things as well.
Hmm.
So I think it's interesting that within a 2 years time we get this and we get Star Trek, which went both of them went on to influence countless number of sci-fi films. And this, what I liked about the ship here was, okay, it kind of has that Star Trek look a little bit,
It does.
but structurally it's way different because Star Trek, the ship almost feels like a submarine. It's way more cramped and crowded, whereas this feels way more wide open and much bigger and much more vast than the ones in Star Trek did. So I appreciated that aspect to it.
Yeah, that was one thing because looking at the spaceship from the outside, and then you look at the spaceship from when you're watching
The
Mark and the
interior.
cast, dude, it is massive. I'm like, this is like huge, and it doesn't look huge when you look at the spaceship from the outside, but whatever. But I did appreciate that. I love those enclosed areas, and you definitely got to see different aspects of the spaceship. So I did appreciate them doing that. The Kino, once again, this is the cool cover. The original, I guess I won't say it's original. Maybe it is the original, but this is the reverse art of the Planet of the Vampires, which I think is really cool. And I like,
Probably the AIP
yeah,
poster. Yeah.
yep. And I like that. But what we have on this Kino is the audio commentary from Kim Newman and Barry Farshaw, which I have not listened to, and clearly I have not listened to Tim Lucas's. Other than that, you got alternative or alternate music score highlights. I need to get into that. And you got the original Italian opening credits, which I did not watch. I should have checked that out, but I'd love to get into that. And then you got Trailers from Hell with Joe Dante, and Trailers from Hell with Josh Olson, and then theatrical trailer. That's your bonus clips over here with the Kino release of Planet of the
For
Vampires.
me, I'm always looking for the commentaries. Commentaries or video essays, one of those
Yeah,
two. So, yeah.
agree. Cool. All right, well, let's get into our ratings then. So, where do you come in for Planet of the Vampires?
I don't see. I do wonder if this is being too harsh, but I just it's just the way I kind of felt. I'm giving this a 6. I don't know if I should be if it should be higher. It almost feels like it should be,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's that other part of me that's like, no, that seems right. So it definitely has to be better than an average film.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
just put it that way. But it doesn't necessarily have to be so strong because it's not a film that I'm going to rewatch very often, and that's a big part of my rating system. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a 7 on it, and for the same reasons. And I I wanted to give this a 10. I really did. I will watch this again because I do like these type films. So this one will definitely be watched again. I'm super glad to own it. And Mark, who gifted us this over a year plus ago, I'm so glad that he sent it to us. Just a surprise. Did not expect it. Got it. I looked at it. I was like, Mario Bava, Planet of the Vampires. I'd never even heard of it. That's how novice I was to Mario Bava. And I'm like, wow, cool. And now I got to watch it. So that's awesome. All right, so there it is, Planet of the Vampires. So next one up, Ian, will be our last feature review tonight, and that's the A Bay of Blood. So A Bay of Blood from Mario Bava. Love, of course, Ian's over there. Well, it'd be Ian's over there, but I love Ian's. This one right here, once again, is the Scream Factory box set one. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. It's A Bay of Blood. What you got for the plot synopsis?
Okay, so I'm taking it from So Deadly, So Perverse. I don't have a whole lot of space here, so I got to kind
Troy
of,
Howard, my
yeah, go
friend.
down the book here.
I love Troy.
um, yeah. So let me go. It was page 168.
By the way,
All
you
right.
can pick up these books, So Deadly, So Perverse. You can get them through Amazon or different avenues, you can still get some of these. I need to get volume one. I've only got volume two. I got to get volume one, two, and three, and he's got so many
It's
books.
actually listed as a twitch of the death nerve in
Nice.
this, yeah, in this book. And this is a very short synopsis for choice standards.
Okay.
A wheelchair bound countess is murdered, and various greedy heirs and interested parties assemble to try and take control of her Bayside property. And that is it. And yeah, that's basically the film. This film really does not have much story to it. So,
I'm gonna do this. I don't have it open yet, but I'm gonna do this eventually. But that would be this. That would be scene cut.
yeah,
That is the movie.
it really is. And, it was funny as I was watching it again before I watched it with the commentary on. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
do I like I question myself for a minute. I'm like, can I give this film as high of a rating as I'm going to end up giving it, or do I like this film as much as I thought I did? Because, like I said, there is not much here in terms of story. It's just kind of people are whacking each other off. Like
Mhm.
what, that sounds wrong. People are killing each other off
Yeah.
for to take control of this bay, and it's like who's with each other, who's against each other. But yeah, there's not really a whole lot to it,
Right.
but it almost doesn't matter in the case of this film because the kills are so amazing, the suspense scenes are really good, and like I think if I could go back and watch it again for the first time, I would love to, because you're like, okay, who's the whole time you're like, who is against who and who is with
Yeah.
who, and why are they killing, because everyone has a reason for it, not just necessarily because of the bay, they want to take control of the bay. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, but it's like, well, why do they want it? Like, why are they after this one specific person, or this group of people or whatever? So I think that's one of the interesting aspects of the film. Even though there's not much mystery to it, it just kind of happens to be that way, where characters say, "Oh, I'm going to kill this person because that person could take control of the bay instead of me."
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm gonna be honest. Like this one, I think is like Mario Bava seeing Dario Argento's Blood and Black Lace from '64, and this is. I feel Mario Bava saying, "I'm throwing my hat in the Giallo ring. I'm going to throw it in there and go for the gore aspect." And he definitely did it. Like, bro, this is proto slasher, man. This is your predated slasher. This is 1971, and it doesn't have the monster or the solo killer of a slasher per se, but man, you have the kills of a slasher movie. You got an axe to the face like Friday the 13th. You got a beheading. You got
several kills like Friday the 13th. You got
yeah.
the bill hook to the face is very reminiscent of Mark's kill with the machete in Friday the 13th Part 2. He
Yeah.
gets the machete through the face. Then you've got the most obvious one, which is the double penetration kill with a spear, which Friday the 13th Part 2 just completely ripped off, if
Absolutely.
we're being honest about it. So that you have those aspects to it. And as far as filmmaking goes, Bava didn't need to employ many tricks for this film. It was shot on location, didn't have much of a budget, but didn't really need one to do what it needed to do. The only things of note I found was the house on the bay that you see at the very beginning, which is supposed to be the countess's house. That was a glass mat. There's no house there. Um, and then the other one I had, why I'm losing my train of thought. Uh, I'll come back to it if I remember it. But so basically, the film starts with the countess at her house getting hung by this unknown killer, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it stages to be a suicide. We later find out that it's her husband.
Yeah.
That basically starts exactly what this film does all throughout, where it's like, oh, and then the husband immediately gets killed. So
Yeah.
it's like one thing right after another, where one kill just gets upstaged by
Yeah.
by another the whole time. So I remember what I was going to say. So there weren't actually that many trees in the film. Bava had to go to a florist and buy some like sticks with a bunch of leaves on them for the close-ups, where you see a bunch of like the bushes through the leaves. So that's the other filmmaking trick that was in this.
Good job, Mario.
Yeah.
I love it. Hey, you wouldn't know it. Yeah, look, hey, I looked like it's a real forest to me. This movie has so many good kills. It has so many who is the killer, and then like you said, you find out really quick. Doesn't matter. You just watch this film, and then that ultimate ending without giving it
Oh
away
my goodness.
was so great.
Yes.
That was
The
like
first
poetry.
the first time I saw this movie, my jaw literally dropped when that
Yeah.
happened. I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
Right. Is that
It's
not right up there with Sleepaway Camp as a
oh
memorable
yeah.
ending? It's right there, dude. Wow.
Yeah.
I was like,
And our girl Nicoletta Elmy as the daughter.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, love Nicoletta. Dude, so good. That ending was just a masterful ending. It was so perfect. And the reasoning behind it made it even better. Was just
Well, that and like I won't give away exactly what happens here, but basically I think this film, the point of this film is trying to say everybody's bad, so everybody deserves to die.
yeah,
There's no good people in this film besides probably the two kids, arguably, because they haven't
yeah,
done anything wrong.
right.
But everyone else in this film is trying to get control of the bay. They've all either plotted to kill people or they have killed people. So
Mm,
none of them deserve to live, you know. And I think that's why it's so great. The movie ends the way it does. And I like most of the characters. Like I like the entomologist. I like the tarot card reader woman. I like the husband and wife couple of Albert and Renata.
mm,
Um, so I think that there's some interesting characters here. I don't think there's too many interesting dialogue scenes per se, at least to me.
no,
But you got Claudine Auger playing Renata, Luigi Pistilli, the great Luigi Pistilli, playing Alberto,
yeah.
Claudio Camasso, aka Claudio Volante, playing Simon, who is the illegitimate son of the Countess.
Mm,
Anna Maria Rosati playing Laura, who's sort of the blonde woman who's in allegiance with the sort of, I think, Franco. Chris Avram, played by Franco, is almost like a real estate guy. Isn't that
yeah,
why he wants control of the Bay? I think.
he does. Yeah,
Um, and then Leopoldo Trieste as Paolo, the aforementioned entomologist. He's always with his insects and stuff. And Laura Betty as his wife, Anna, and they're always kind of arguing about something. I'm not sure why. But
mm,
then you have the four like teenage young adults who show up to the Bay just for some fun. The most notable one being Brigitte Skay as Louise, aka Broomhild.
mm,
Um, you got I think Roberto and Luca are the two. I think their names are a little different. I think Bobby or something like that, the English version, and something else. Then you got the other girl, the French girl. I can't remember what her name is. I'm trying to find it here on the cast list.
yeah.
Sylvia, I think. Yeah,
That sounds
Sylvia.
right. Yeah,
Yeah. So you got those people who show up, and that is where the film becomes most like a slasher movie, where they just get killed one by one by one. It's like probably a 20-minute sequence or something where they're all there,
yeah,
maybe. Um, you get that really good shot that kind of reminds you of Psycho with the eye through
yeah,
the little sort of that veil or whatever it is. And you actually kind of can see who it is. They actually don't necessarily hide who it is, even with just his eye. You can kind of see who it is.
yeah,
But yeah. But as the film goes on, you find out that everybody has a reason for doing what they're doing. Like, for example, Simon is set to inherit the Bay, but then the daughter of the patriarch who gets killed at the beginning, the father, the husband of the countess, she shows up and she's like, oh well, now I have to kill Simon because he's set to control the Bay. And then they end up getting into a conflict with the real estate guy and his woman. So with Ventura and his woman. So that it's very interesting how it's like a domino effect of just like, okay, this person died, now this person's going to die.
yeah.
How are they going to die? You don't know, because that's the best part of this movie is the kills. And
Oh
what
yeah,
I really liked was Albert, basically when Renata starts employing Albert to kill people, or imploring Albert to kill people, which I think is really funny. Their
mm,
relationship is actually funny because she's the one telling him to do everything and he just
right.
does it. um but the part when he actually has the worst kill of the movie, but it makes sense because it's his first time killing someone. He kills someone by strangling them with a phone cord, which I
Right.
found was the most primitive kill of the movie, but it makes sense because it's his first time doing it.
Yeah. That one and the strangulation where somebody just choked him to death. The
Yeah.
second one, yeah. There's two different ones. There's one with the phone cord, and then there's one where he just by hand.
Well, the strangulation, the choking one was meant to be more violent, and Bava didn't want to do it for some reason.
Wow. Here's the thing. This is a very brisk hour and what 24 minutes. It's 84 minutes long. It moves really fast. It's super fast paced for me, and which I appreciated. Don't get me wrong. But I thought one of the things, one of the shining moments, besides the kills, like you said, is the movie. That's what you're coming to see is the kills in this one, and he delivered. But I think it's Stelvio Soprini's score. I think the musical score in this was really good, and I really enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, the score is great, and it has all different kinds of instruments in it. There's piano in there, there's strings in there, there's
Drum, yeah,
percussion, the fuzzy guitar.
yeah,
You get basically everything in the score. It's quite an amazing score. And one of the other things I really love about this film is the transitions. After every kill, there's usually a transition to the sunset or something like that. I think Friday the 13th kind of does something similar actually with some of its kills. There's a fade to red at one point. There's a lot of like transition, just random transition shots and like what you may call it, where the objects get sort of cross-faded or contorted a lot of times. Like you see that with a spear where it gets all distorted in one shot. You see that a lot throughout the film.
mm-hmm.
And then you already mentioned the music. Why am I losing my train of thought again?
Well, I
There's
mean,
just so much.
cinematographer was Mario too himself.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
there's a lot that I wanted to talk about with this film. Oh, so the other transition I had, that was what I was thinking about. There's that great moment where it transitions where they're talking about squonks and the two Renato and Laura, and then it transitions to Simon biting into a squid.
Right. That's
Yeah,
nasty. That whole the squid thing has should have got credit in this movie because this is like a few scenes that we have that squid. So
yeah.
I'm like, dude, he should have got credit in this movie. Like, I don't know what his name was, Hermie the Squid or whatever, but he totally should have had a character in this movie because they showed him so many different times, and there was that real cool scene where he's over the guy's face, and it's kind of this, dude. That was so freaking cool, man. I love that. And I've never seen a squid up in this. I don't know where the squid would have came out of this lake. I don't know. Maybe it's
Yeah, I don't know
they
either.
kept calling it the sea. I don't know. It just looked like a little pond to me or a little lake, but I don't know. Whatever. I wouldn't consider it a squid being in that location, but I could be wrong. Uh, but yeah, I love it. I love this movie. I freaking love this movie, and
Yeah,
I fell more in love with it this viewing. And I've seen this movie multiple times, but I'm gonna tell you what, this movie really hit home this last time. I was like, dude, and like you said, if you were to vote or not vote, but if you were to score this, and you were to take it off of points that you would need for like storytelling and all, like, dude, this would be like a very below average because there is no story. But
no, there really isn't. But
God, the kills
yeah,
are so great, man. Oh my God, I love it. And the music, once again, outstanding. So this movie gets a lot of credit for the things that it did right more than it did for things that it didn't do. So for me, the things that it did right outweighs not having the substance. And I think that comes from somebody like me who is a 80s slashers fan. That's kind of my bread and butter for the whole
so am I.
my whole
So yeah,
yeah my whole horror life has been pretty much 80s slashers. I have just grown into the Italian cinema, so for me it was always 80s slashers. This movie is straight up just a slasher movie to me, and I'm looking at it at like 1971. What, like, dude, we haven't even had any Halloween or any Friday 13th or any
yeah. I
Magic.
mean, this is before Torso. This is
Yeah,
before Texas Chainsaw, Black Christmas. So
right,
yeah,
right. The only one that would have predated this would have been Peeping Tom and Psycho. I mean, that would have been the only two that really predated
Blood
this.
and Black Lace,
Blood and
Mario
Black
Bava's other
Lace. Yeah,
film. Yeah,
true, true. But who do you think, like, if you were to look at this as a whole and take, and I don't want to compare Dario Argento to Mario Bava because it's not fair to do that. Mario, his filmography is a little bit more eclectic. It's a little more broad. Where Dario, I don't want to say it, but Dario was a little bit more pigeonholed into. He loved his giallo, right? But if you were to look at this as a whole, and you would have picked, let's look at Dario Argento's cinematography, his makings, his killings, his whatever, in Giallo, and then you throw this one because this one is technically a Giallo, and then you take Mario Bava's entry here with A Bay of Blood. Does it compare? Does it belong in the same Argento world?
Well, Argento loved set pieces, I think, more than Bava did. This one doesn't necessarily have too many set pieces with the kills. It kind of happens in random areas. Not that Bava didn't like set pieces in his films, he did. But this one, because it's shot in location and it's in such a sort of isolated, not necessarily pretty area. I mean, it's pretty, but it's not like overly glamorous like some of Dario Argento's things are. Dario Argento tends to focus on, I want to make this look as good as it possibly can, not just necessarily I want to make the kill look as amazing
Mm.
as I think it can. Sometimes he does, but not all the time. Whereas this, I think Mario Bava is thinking, I want to make the kills look as cool as they possibly can.
Yeah,
Or maybe
well,
Carlo Rambaldi was thinking that more specifically.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. He
because I don't
definitely.
think Bava was into that stuff all that much in terms of really violent kills or a lot of nudity or anything like that. Like the scene with Broomhild getting into the water is almost out of character for his films. You
Yeah,
don't see that type of thing in his films at all. So it was interesting for him to make a film a little bit more outside of his typical character. I mean, it almost reminds me of how when Alfred Hitchcock made Frenzy,
mm,
when Alfred Hitchcock made Frenzy, it was like, oh, this is what I can do if I don't have the MPAA on my ass all the time to make a film a certain way. And Bava is doing that here, where he's like, okay, I'm going to make a film that has more violence and nudity than I've made before, and this is what you're going to see.
that's right.
So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and that I totally agree with you. And I think Argento definitely more stylistic. But I was completely surprised to see Bridget Skay. That whole nudity scene was completely caught me off
Apparently
guard.
they shot that in January as well. So she drank like a ton of vodka before she went into the water because she was like it was she was like, yeah, it was freezing.
Yeah, I bet. But yeah, that was totally caught me off guard because I was just not expecting.
Her kill, by the way, does that kill remind you at all of the way she gets chased down? It's not necessarily this shot the exact same way, but it reminds me a lot of how Drew Barrymore gets chased down at the beginning of
Agree.
Scream.
I
Yeah.
agree. Totally, 100%. I never even put a connection to that, but yeah, I totally see that. Um, let's do this. We haven't done our all stars, and we didn't do it for the first one. I forgot to mention that
I
to
think
you
I had a couple, yeah, for that one.
because I know we
So we'll
have
do,
Razumov in the first one.
yes. So we have him, but we also have Massimo Righty playing Solace, who is the commander of the other ship.
Hmm.
He was in Blood and Black Lace as one of the suspects. He's the one who ends up in Blood and Black Lace. He has like a seizure at one point because he kind of loses it. But then we got, yeah, Ivan Rasimov. I just want to take a look at the films that we actually have done. So Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, Your Vice is a Locked Room Only, I Have the Key, All the Colors of the Dark, Spasmo. We didn't actually do well, we did Colt 38 Special Squad, so there we go. He's an all-time great with that and Planet of the Vampires. We talked about Jungle Holocaust once on our Diodato episode, but we never actually covered it. But I figured that was still worth mentioning. And we're not done with Ivan Razumov. We've got more because we haven't even done any cannibal movies, and he's like the cannibal movie king.
Dude,
So
I got my cannibal movie sitting right here waiting. I'm wearing my cannibal shirt, baby.
yeah, there you go.
Some cannibals. All right. Well, how about in this new one then, as far as the dark?
So
I mean, the
go to
Bay of Blood.
Bay of Blood. We're gonna have a few for this one. So Claudine Auger, this is her second appearance, so she is an all-star along with Massimo Righty from the other film. So she was also in Black Belly of the Tarantula, so that makes her an all-star. Luigi Pistilli, so he was in Case of the Scorpion's Tail,
Yeah.
Caliber 9, Your Vice is a Locked Room Only, I Have the Key, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and For a Few Dollars More. So he is an all-time great. He was also in Iguana, the Tongue of Fire, another movie we've done.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Luigi Pistilli is my favorite Italian born actor. I would say that.
Yeah. I could totally see that. I'd be okay to say that for myself.
So Claudio Volante, who plays Simon, I just had something of note on him. He is the brother of Jean Maria Volante, who we saw in A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More, playing the villain in both of those movies. He does look a little bit like him. Didn't quite have the same career as his brother. He ended up going to jail at one point for stabbing a guy, and he hung himself in his jail cell. Um, so he did not particularly live a great life off screen. Chris Avram, I don't think we've seen him in anything else yet, but we probably will. Or no, we have seen him in something else. So he is an all-star. So Sweet, So Dead.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We will end up seeing him in more stuff though. As far as I know, that might be the last one for now. Laura Betty is someone who we'll probably see in some other films at some point. Issa Miranda is another one we might end up seeing in more films. But we got Nicoletta Elmy.
Yeah.
So we actually there's a couple of films we haven't covered with her in it that we're gonna end up covering. Obviously, Deep Red Demons. But we do have Footprints on the Moon and her Who Saw Her Die. So that makes her a Black Glove Mystery superstar. We don't usually have that ranking too often, but it's fun to say. 3 films. So there we go.
She's a superstar, but in her eyes, she's an all-star. I love it. Cool. I love you doing these things, man. So everybody keep up with these as Ian goes through them. We're ranking them. Ian likes to put them in there. We're doing our all-star Hall of Famers, and I love it. It's really cool. All right, so A Bay of Blood. You got anything else on this one before we get to the ratings?
Apparently, Dario Argento saw the film at a theater and bought the print because he loved the film so much. And they ended up having to show some other film instead at the same theater after he bought the print. I can't remember what the film was, but
I'm gonna take it. Nobody else will see it. It's just gonna
uh,
be me.
Christopher Lee saw this at like some film festival and was absolutely repulsed by it.
Oh
He
wow.
did not like the film at all,
Mm.
which I can kind of understand it for the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Keep it in mind now. He did the Satanic Rites of Dracula, which is one of the worst Dracula movies, and
that one's pretty bad.
it's pretty bad. But yeah, so
Um,
you got to give it to him.
Dracula AD is not that much better, but it is better.
Sure, it is. Yeah, point better. But that point is like Satanic Rites of Dracula is like a 4 to a 5.
Yeah, I think I've only seen it once, and I have no intention of rewatching it. Most of those Dracula films, though, are good. Like
Yeah,
Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, I think is one that I really like. Scars of Dracula is great. Like most of those Dracula films are good. They're not quite as good as the Frankenstein films, the Hammer Frankenstein films to me,
yeah.
but those most of those ones are pretty good. I love the Shaw Brothers one. What is it? Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires or whatever. That one is awesome.
I've not seen it. I need to see it. But my Satanic Rites of Dracula was actually a thin case. These are those dollar DVDs they released back in
Oh,
the day.
yeah, I remember those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're super thin, like case, and this. That's how I bought that movie, and I'm like, wow, I'm glad I didn't spend anything on a Blu-ray for it. But yeah, it was $1. Hey, any movie's worth $1 in my book.
Dracula Prince of Darkness. That's another one
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
was thinking
Prince.
of. Yeah, the third one. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it floating around in here somewhere. All right, well, let's get to our rating on this one. Where you come in for A Bay of Blood?
I am going to give it a 9.5. I'm not going to give it a full 10 just because I wish there was a little more story here. I had thought about giving it a 9, but I think just the kills and everything overpowers that for me. So, and as far as it goes, the filmmaking is great. Carlo Rambaldi, who went on to do the effects for films like Close Encounters and E.T., does a fantastic job here. The score is fantastic, as we discussed. So, pretty much on every front besides story, the film is amazing.
Yeah, totally. I'm 9.5 on this one as well, and just below a 10. This movie right here is such a freaking great movie that I think everyone should check out. I gave this thing on Letterbox back in the day a 5 star, so I've obviously have given this thing pretty much a 10 before, so I haven't changed. But it just really hit home this last time watching. I'm like, dude, this is yeah, it's so good. All right, so there you go. That is the movies. We're not done yet. We got some callers that's called in, but once again, it's The Bay of Blood, Planet of the Vampires, both these flicks, and I hope you've enjoyed that. So as we do that, I'm gonna try to get something going here. We're gonna do these voicemails here, Ian, and I can't wait to get to these because we had some really cool calls. And so we're going to play this, and hopefully, this is going to go over like really well because I typically don't do it. I typically don't do it this way, but hopefully, this is going to work out for us, Ian. So let me turn up volume here a little bit. All right, so the first one we're going to go to here is going to be from Luke Urza. So let's go ahead and go to it, Ian.
Hey guys, Luke Urza calling from Lucerne, Switzerland. So we're traveling, but I had a moment to watch one of the movies, the Hercules movie, and one of the Hercules movies. And Ian and I had talked about it before I left. But anyway, I think Ian and I had seen this movie before a while ago because there were some parts of it that looked familiar to me. Um, Overall, good movie. Don't have many comments, truthfully. I enjoyed it. I liked seeing Christopher Lee. Uh, not a normal role that I would see him in. I've only seen him in some other more scary movies and things, but it was a little bit like almost like a Twilight Zone in some ways to me, or Creature Double Feature when I was a kid. I'm not trying to minimize this movie or anything, but some parts of it were a little Creature Double Feature thing with some of the uh, graphics and things. So overall, good movie. I just wanted to call in and say hi to you guys. Great show, and looking forward to what's next. Have a great time, guys.
Nice. So that was Luke, and this actually came in on the last episode, Ian, but it was after we had already recorded. I think he said so. He was traveling. Where was he traveling to?
So he took a vacation just all throughout Europe where they would go somewhere like every day. So he went to London, he went to Switzerland, he went to Rome at one point.
Wow,
They went to Austria. They went to a ton of different places. So
it's really
yeah.
cool. I love that. So yeah, great call. Appreciate it. And that's cool that you called in while you're out traveling, man. It's awesome. Let's go to our next call here, and then we got a couple more coming in from Luke here in a minute too. But let's go ahead and go to this one and see what we got in.
Black Love Mysteries. Hey, Greg and Ian. Just wanted to call in. I haven't called into this show in a while.
Hey, Derek.
For Black Love Mysteries. Just letting you know I still love the show, listen to the show all the time. It's gotten me to purchase a few, not many yet. I just purchased Stone Torture Duckling, which I asked Ian about, and kind of pulled the trigger on his recommendation. $50 movie, but it was still pretty good. I was just wondering if you guys had any suggestions for maybe like a top 5 giallos to get into more. I know you guys have done a lot of reviews and things like that, but just an overall, maybe what you think is some really good ones. I've done a few Argento ones, but I'm pretty sure I've done Tenebrae and Torso as well, and not a lot though. So I was just wondering, maybe if you could pick each, maybe recommend 5 movies for it. But anyway, keep up the great work. Always look forward to the show, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Nice. That's Derek Johns, and that's a loaded question. That I can come off with Blood and Black Lace would be one of the ultimate first ones I would tell you. I would definitely recommend right off the bat. I would have to really think about it because I'm going Argento with a lot of mine because
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a few that like I think are slightly different, but are all really good. I mean, you can't go wrong with a lot of Sergio Martino's. I mean, I actually think Blood and Black Lace is a great one. This one, A Bay of Blood, I think is another one. I think that those two would be absolutely essential if you're trying to get into the giallo genre. Another one that I would say is All the Colors of the Dark if you're looking for something weirder, a little more psychological. Then I would probably go Black Ballet of the Tarantula. That would be another one. And then to do something maybe not that much different, but just a different director, but still has the same feel. Death Walks at Midnight. Those are just a few I'll throw out there.
Yeah, I would throw out Don't Torture Duckling, Lucio Fulci. I think
Yep.
would definitely be one. Bird with Crystal Plumage, of course, Argento. But to go outside Argento, how about Pupi Avati? How about House of the Laughing Window?
Yeah.
I think that's a really good one, dude, that I would recommend for sure. Lizard in a woman's skin. How about what you've done to Solange? I really enjoy that.
Yeah,
I guess a
I
very
think that's a better suggestion than Lizard in a Woman's Skin if you're trying to get into the genre.
definitely.
I'm trying to think here, and maybe Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. That's another
Oh yeah,
good possibility.
and the gothic feel of that one too
Yeah.
would be really cool. And what would you say of Hatchet for the honeymoon with Mario?
Well, I haven't seen it in a long time, so that's that one. But I do remember liking it, and that one is kind of more of a character study, a la movie almost like Maniac or something, where it's about one guy and his psychological torments and stuff like that, and what drives him to do the things he does.
Agree, agree. Um, so yeah, that's a few I could think of right here, and I was just doing a quick search through my list over here that I've got, and I'll throw them at you, Derek. That's something that I'd really need to just really sit down and put a list together, a full list.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at Fulci, if you're looking at something besides Don't Torture a Duckling or New York Ripper, which wouldn't necessarily be one of my, well, actually, it kind of depends on who you are. New York Ripper would be a good suggestion for someone who's really looking for some slice some dice some gore, and some crazy 42nd Street sleaze. But if you're not into that, The Psychic is another really good recommendation if you're looking for another one of Fulci's films.
And if you want to see one that's not really that great, but it's good eye candy, check out Murder Rock.
Yeah, yeah.
So I hope that helped, Derek. Like seriously, like dude, that is a really heavy question, but I really enjoyed the call because that's one day we'll have to do a list, Ian, and just really break them down and say, hey, this is what I would recommend. But man, cool. Thank you for calling in, Derek, for sure. And I hope we gave you a few suggestions there. So let's see here, Ian. We got three more calls, and these three are going to come in. These are from Luke. So let me play these for us, and if I can make this thing work. Here we go. All right, so let's go to his first call here. Now, these are actually going to pertain to this episode, okay? So let's get to these first three calls here.
Hey guys, Luke Irza calling in with some observations of a Bay of Blood. I guess right out of the gate, you certainly know what kind of movie it's going to be. I really enjoyed the fact that they just jumped right in, with the hanging of the old lady, I suppose. But what I thought was kind of interesting about that scene was her wheelchair gets kicked away from her and tipped on its side, and one of the wheels of the wheelchair is spinning, and she is, dying, whatever, gagging and going through whatever, happens when you get hung, so to speak. And then the wheel on the wheelchair stops spinning, and she stops, kind of like moving and breathing and things, as she's hanging. So I thought it was interesting that when the wheel stopped spinning, she obviously died.
Wow.
Excuse me.
That's good observation.
I may have to call you back because I have a couple other thoughts, but I'll keep going for now. So I thought what was really cool was the machete to the face. Yeah. Even though the guy, like, his eyes kept moving and things, I've never had a machete hit me anywhere, but I would think that, he'd be instantly dead, but I'm not positive. So I thought that was a pretty fun scene, and, pretty cool. And I also, again, there's this close-up of the eyes quite often, and I've watched a number of these movies. Thank you, Ian, for your suggestions, but I've watched a number of these movies, and there always just seems to be this close-up of the eyes. It's got to be a thing with the director maybe or something, but anyway, I think I've made that observation before with a number of other movies. Hey man, I'll give you guys a call back with a couple of those thoughts, and we'll go with it.
Nice. I gotta say, Ian, that was a good observation about the wheelchair. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, Tim Lucas had pointed that out in his commentary, actually, that it was a good bit of cross cutting. Yeah, I had forgot to point that out. Yeah,
That's real.
good on Dad to catch that one.
Let's see here. Let's go. Let's catch a second one. But man, the machete. I totally agree. I've never been hit with a machete either, so I don't know.
No, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that is part of it. His eyes do keep moving. I don't know if that was a continuity error or something like that, but yeah,
I love that they did that close up of his face with the machete. I thought
yeah.
I didn't expect that. I was like, wow, he really went in there. Let's go to his next call.
All right. Hey, fellas. Lucas, continuing on a couple other things. So I enjoyed that there was more than one killer in the movie. It just seemed, kind of, it was cutthroat. I kind of enjoyed that part about the movie. And they didn't really hide a lot of it. It was just kind of like, I'm going to do this and kill this person, and we got to get this person out of the way and this and that. I kind of enjoyed how pretty straightforward it was, for the most part. Excuse me. Ultimately, all the killers get killed, which leads me into another portion of it that I kind of found odd, and I don't know that I enjoyed it a whole lot, but the ending, and I'm not disturbed that maybe two little children kill their parents, which is kind of an odd thing to say, I guess. But I didn't, I guess I still don't know how to put into words like what that meaning, that ending was supposed to mean. And then I'll leave you with this. The Bay area in the movie isn't quite, Camp Crystal Lake. Pretty fun reference. But I'm curious if there was some inspiration there, for any kind of Halloween not Halloween movie, but, the Camp Crystal Lake thing with this Bay movie. So anyway, just a few observations. Really enjoyed the movie, and Ian, thank you for the recommendation. And I will talk with you guys later. Bye.
I love it. And he called one more time. Let's go to his last call, and then we'll comment on his mention of Bay of Blood here. So let's go to this last call and pull this up. Ba-ba. There we go. All right. So this is his last call here.
Hey guys, I had to call back really quick. Make a correction. I said, Halloween, Camp Crystal Lake. That's not really what I meant. I meant obviously Friday the 13th, but also the Halloween movies may have been a little inspired by, some of the slasher stuff that happened. So I just felt kind of silly because you guys are the pros and the experts, and here I am saying Camp Crystal Lake and threw Halloween in there, not to confuse the two. But anyway, enjoy, guys. Have a good one.
I love it. No, your dad crushed it, dude. That's such a good call. All right, so that is all the voicemails.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about the influence on Friday the 13th for sure, with the kills and just with the location and everything like that. And yeah, and you have the whole thing of the teenagers, young adults heading off to an isolated location, getting killed one by one before any of them knows what's happening. I mean, that's exactly what the slasher genre is, and you see it here.
Yeah, totally. So Luke, thank you for calling in, brother. And we're not pros, or at least I'm not. Ian is. I'm not. And trust me, I have messed up with Halloween and Friday the 13th. I have did it all.
Oh yeah.
That's so don't feel bad about that at all. But that has been the show tonight, listeners. This has been a blast. Once again, we looked at Planet of the Vampires as well as a Bay of Blood, and we want to talk about the next episode. Ian, what are we going to do on the next episode of Black Glove Mysteries?
So we're doing a Lamberto Bava double feature, and this is the first one. Lamberto Bava's Macabre, which I have not seen in a while, aka Frozen Terror.
I have not seen. Let me see it again.
The Blu-ray.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice. Look at that. That is such a sweet. Uh, Another boutique label, 88 Films. Okay, they're from the UK, but they do have some US. You
I
can
think they have a U.S. distributor
They do.
now. Yeah.
Yep. And I love 88 Films. I only own. I was looking at this earlier. Now I'm gonna do it again. I done went down. Okay, all right. So I do own this really great movie called Hitchhike. We know this one very well with Franco Nero.
Yeah.
But this is the Italian collection. So they have the Italian collection up here, and then they're numbered on the spine. I Pearl and I are going to be on the lookout because I want to go back. A lot of these are out of print now from '88.
Oh yeah. Some of them I wish weren't. I really wish I had. The one that I wish I had so much is the Mad Dog Killer one, just because there's never been another Blu-ray release of that since. And I hope someone will do it. Maybe Cauldron Films or someone will get a hold of it eventually. But now all we have is that Blue Underground print, which still looks fine, but it doesn't look nearly as good as that Blu-ray, I'm sure.
Exactly. So I've been hunting them down. They're on eBay sometimes, really pricey, and of course, I'm not going to pay $50 for or $60
Or
or
more.
$100 or whatever for a Blu-ray. I'm not going to do that. But with that said, I do love 88 Films. I love that cover right there, Ian. That is freaking awesome. And Pearl wanted me to mention this before we end this too. Huge thank you to Luke. We got to give a big, huge thank you to Luke, Ian, for your nickname. We have not even officially announced your moniker on the show, Ian, and your dad actually came up with this name, which I think is cool. What is your new name going to be, Ian? Or kind of like GregaMortis. Clearly, my name is not legally GregaMortis, although it may be one day. I'm just saying. But Ian, what is your moniker going to be?
Lou Pagnali, which means the dagger in Sicilian.
I love it. Lou Pagnelli. Pagnelli?
Pagnali.
Pagnali. Lou Pagnali, which is Sicilian, like you, Ian, and your father came up with that title, man, which is so cool. So we want to give a big shout out to Luke for coming up with that. And I got to get with you on a certain shirt size after your show, Ian, because we got to get something over there for him, man. But that's so cool, right, Pearl? I love it. Lou Panali. Panali. Yeah, Lou Panali. Lou Panali. I got it already. It's there. So Ian Lou Panali Irza. I love it. So anyway, so our next episode, once again, Ian, give it to him one more time. 2 movies from Lamberto.
So I did Macabre already, and then he got Devilfish, aka Monster Shark, the other
Dude, look
Lamberto
at the
Bava movie.
cover. Bro, if that don't scream fun. That looks like a Jaws, Piranha, Orca, the killer whale.
It is full on shark exploitation. Yeah. Severin released a newer Blu-ray of this recently, so maybe the Code Red one's still out there for all I know, but that's the one I have. And I will point out you can find both of these films on YouTube.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
that's the way I'll do it, because I do not own this, and I don't know that I will be buying. I was going to grab Devil Fetus. I got Devil Fetus from Vinegar.
Devil Fetus.
But anyway, I do not own either one of these, so I will be watching these online like some of you listeners, so that's fine. But anyway, that is super cool. So let's go ahead and pass around our final thoughts, Ian. What's your outros and final thoughts, buddy?
So you can find me at Urzanomics on Blue Sky, Twitter, AKX, and Instagram. You can add me on Letterboxd or Facebook by just typing in my name. I don't think I have any shows or anything coming up that I am aware of. So next time I'll keep everybody posted.
Cool. All right. So appreciate it, Ian. For me, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X, all them spots. Anywhere, just look up GregaMortis, you'll find me. You can head over to landofthecreeps.blogspot.com. That is the official spot that we post the episodes at. So our show notes are over there. So each episode is over at landofthecreeps.blogspot.com. You can click on them, and all the links are there, easy for us. You can click them and go to them. There's also our store, which is through TeePublic, that Pearl handles, my wife. And you can go over, you can click on the right side of the toolbar of the website and click store, and you can get some Black Glove Mystery swag, LOTC swag, or some cool stuff over there. You can't really see it real well, but check out this license plate Pearl had made up. Is that, let me get it in light. How cool is that? That shirt design is actually available. if you like that design of Ian and I think it's really awesome, Ian. That screen, I like my beard. I really like my beard in that one. Look how cool that is to have a tight little dark beard like that. There you go, Ian. And we got the ladies in the background. Does that not scream greatness? Dude, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So you can get some swag like that. Just go over to landofcreeps.blogspot.com, click on that store. And once you do that, bookmark it. That way you don't have to do it again. You can bookmark the store and go to it every time. There's always sales and all kinds of stuff like that. But we really appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. If you're on the YouTube channel, thank you for tuning in. I'd hope you'd hit that subscribe button up there and follow us. This is my official one, but we're doing the Black Glove over here, so I might do unboxings and all kinds of weird stuff. And telling what you'll see over here on this YouTube channel. But every other Friday, you will get this Black Glove Mysteries, which I have thoroughly enjoyed, Ian. So that said, we're going to get out of here. Keep listening. Are we doing Mortis Vision with the Mortises? I guess we're doing one on this episode, so we'll see. If it is, you will have to listen to it over on the podcast platform. So we're going to get out of here. Ian, how do we like to end the show?
Get your jolly on.
We'll see you on the peace side. Bye-bye.